Hello everybody and welcome to your English online class. My name is teacher CosmeRobalino. Today is Monday, May the 25th, 2020, and today we're going to review the passive voice on our book. So, as you can see on your screen, this is the last exercise we did last time that we had class. We talked about computers, vocabulary, and so on. So if you turn your book to page number 66, you're going to see the, here you go, you're going to see the review of the grammar. So let's see what your book says about the passive. We have been working with the passive voice for the last couple of weeks, but it's important to practice so that we can improve our grammar skills. So let me read this for you. It says that we often use the past simple passive when we talk or write about science, technology, and processes. We form the past simple passive with the past simple of be and the past participle. Okay, so let's look at an example. His machine was built for the Science Museum in London. Okay, so in this case, we're talking about a machine and we don't know who built the machine. We only know that, number one, the event took place in the past and the purpose was the Science Museum in London. The next sentence says the analytical engine was designed by the English inventor Charles Babbage or Babbage. Yeah, I think it's Babbage. Okay, so here we know who did the action, Charles Babbage. And we know what he designed, obviously, the analytical engine. In this case, they have shifted, right, from the author, from the doer, to the result of the action. In this case, we shift the attention from Charles Babbage to the analytical engine. And we say that the analytical engine was designed by the English inventor Charles Babbage. Okay, so here, if you remember the difference between object and subject, right? The subject comes before the verb and the object comes after the verb. And you can ask the question, what? It says here, the object of an active sentence becomes the subject of a passive sentence. We can use by to mention the agent or the doer or the author. For example, in the active, John Muckley and J. Prosper Eckert created ENIAC. ENIAC is one of the first computers back in the 50s or 60s. This is in the active, sorry. In the passive, ENIAC was created by John Muckley and J. Prosper Eckert. Okay, so now you can see that we have a subject. This is the subject. Then we have a verb, in this case a transitive verb, because the action is for ENIAC, right? Not for the subject. And if you have these three elements, as we said before, the subject, the verb, and the object, you can express the same idea, the same information using the passive. ENIAC was created by John Muckley and J. Prosper Eckert. Okay, so now we can practice the passive with the exercise. Okay, so let's see. Here in this exercise, we have 8 sentences and we have 8 verbs. Okay, so we know that we are going to use the past simple passive. So we are going to use the verb in the past simple. So here we have the verbs in the passive. A third of Europeans were killed by a terrible disease called the plague in the 14th century. 2. Football was played in medieval times using a pig's bladder as a ball. Imagine that. 3. The ancient pyramids of Egypt were built over 4,500 years ago. 4. Miniskirts were worn first in the 1960s. 5. Cocoa beans were used as money by the Aztecs. 6. Bicycles were invented in the 1880s. The Harry Potter books were written by J.K. Rowling, and the t-shirt was made fashionable by Marlon Brando in the 1950s. So let's check the answers to see if we are correct. Okay. Okay. So if I try again, the last were written by, and the t-shirt was made fashionable. Okay, we can check. Okay, try again. Okay, let's show. Okay, so there is a mistake. You can see that. Okay, all right. So let's move on to the next exercise. Okay, so in this exercise it says write questions and answers in the past simple passive using the words below. Okay, let's do that. So here you have the short conversations. Number 2, who was the exam marked by? It was marked by an examiner in Oxford. 3, why was the door locked? It was closing time. Okay, so because it was closing time. 4, when were you woken up by your mom? At 6 o'clock. Or maybe we can say that I was woken up at 6 o'clock. Okay. Question 5. Where were the books left? They were left in the classroom. 6. How was this chicken cooked? It was cooked in the oven. Okay, so let's check. Okay. All right. So if we click try again, we can try at 6 o'clock. And in the number 5 and the number 3, we can say it was closing time. Let's try that. Nope. Let's show the answer. Okay, so there you have it. Okay, so let's move on to the next exercise. This is a list of science. It's called Science This Week. And the instruction says to rewrite the sentence in Science This Week so they are passive. Okay, so what are the passive sentences? Okay, the number 2. The Hubble telescope found a fifth moon on Pluto. A fifth moon was found on Pluto. 3. Scientists warned governments about extreme weather. Governments were warned about extreme weather. 4. A lack of vitamin D possibly killed Mozart. Mozart was possibly killed by a lack of vitamin D. 5. Scientists built a spacecraft to remove rubbish from orbit. A spacecraft was built to remove rubbish from orbit. 6. The Earth sends enormous quantities of heat into space. Enormous quantities of heat are sent into space by the Earth. 7. A cameraman filmed a rare snow leopard and cubs in Mongolia. A rare snow leopard and cubs were filmed in Mongolia. 8. Archaeologists found an ancient civilization in the jungle. An ancient civilization was found in the jungle. Environmentalists rescued some sea turtles from nets. Some sea turtles were rescued from nets. And the last one, number 10. Stephen Hawking tried a machine that reads minds. A machine that reads minds was tried by Stephen Hawking. Okay, so I'm going to click on check, but we know that the book has different opinions. So let's roll the dice. Why not? Okay. Check. Okay, so I think less than 50%. A fifth moon was found on Pluto. Okay, that's incorrect. So now let's click show the answers, and it's pretty much okay. By whom, right? It was missing by whom? By the Hubble telescope, etc., etc. Okay, so it's important to write the author or the doer of the action. Okay. Okay, my dear students, so that's all for today. Please make sure to ask all your questions next time we are on our online class. Also, keep in mind that your assignments must be submitted using 2 options, either by the Google Classroom, which we have been discussing pretty much every class now, or also you can submit your assignments using only the quiz. Obviously, the quiz, the link to the quiz can be found in Google Classroom. That's the only place. And then you can answer the quiz. Now, a good option is to take a screenshot of your score once you finish the quiz and send it to me using email. That's another option because you then are making sure that I can register your score on my gradebook. So these are the 2 possible options. The best option is Google Classroom, but you can always use the second option. Thanks again for your attention today. Have a good time, and I will see you next time around. Take care. Bye-bye.